Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 137. Today is June 20th. My name is Craig Perales. This is Mandrew Montmay, and I gotta say, we gotta apologize that the episode's coming out a little bit later than it normally does, but we both had a few things going on that which we'll kind of dive into more when we talk about the what are you up to's. But I know you hate recording this late in the week. We were just kind of just talking about that. But how you feeling today?
I feel that I'll plant my stake in the ground and defend it now that this is exactly why we needed an E3. We'll get into how we feel about everything later, but you can tell my sentiments from that statement.
Oh, so guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share it if you can, and hit that notification so you guys know when our future videos come out. If you guys are interested in following us on any of the social media, our Linktree link is in the description where you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you guys are listening to audio only version of the podcast, check us out on any podcast platform that you like the best, but Anchor is the home for the show. So before we dive into our main stories, guys, we like to talk about what are you up to. And Andrew and I take a second, talk about what we've been playing, what we've been watching, and anything we may have had planned. So I haven't seen you in a few days, man. What have you been up to?
I actually went and saw Top Gun. I won't dive too much in that because Craig already did. I would highly recommend going and seeing it. And I hadn't even seen the first one. I loved it. Thought it was a great movie. More importantly, I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, so I did go see Jurassic World Dominion. Did you see that yet?
No, I haven't seen
I love that movie. That movie was so good. I would actually go and see both of these again, which is very rare that you get two movies like that in theater. So I think this week or this weekend, I'm going to go and see either one of those again. As far as anything that I've been playing, I actually finished Final Fantasy 12. I did pretty much almost everything I could do in it. I was just super OP in that game except for the final hunt. I just gave up on it because he has like 50 million HP and he like one hits you unless you set up all these techniques so that way you just like lowers damage. I was like, I don't have fucking time for this, and then I just cruised out of that. As far as anything else, I didn't play anything else. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I went and got a palm tattoo when I was finishing up my Dark Souls sleeve. I went and got to seal my love for the show and the game, of course, the Castlevania logo, because I truly love that anime. It was super amazing, but I love that game too. Hurt really bad, so as of right now I can't really play anything for like a few more days, so I don't even know if I'll play anything this week until like later on. But
oh damn, so it's just like because automatically I was waiting for you to jump on the other day to play, and I'm like, oh shit, he got his hand tattooed, so like I don't even know if he's gonna be able to jump on this week. So
I think
do you have an estimated time, like a day
I'd probably buy at least like Wednesday, Thursday, because I remember the first time I followed this guide that said the first 4 days are the most important just to make sure you take care of it and whatever. So I don't know if I'll play like Call of Duty or anything like that until it starts peeling. But anything else, I could probably hold the control and do like, all right.
Maybe just some Switch, just because it's a little wider and it's not rubbing on your palm. You could play a little Switch handheld.
Yeah, anything. I might jump in. The only game I was thinking of is I might go back and do The Walking Dead, because you don't really have to do anything, and those have been on my backlog forever.
Yeah, you can just play mostly with your indexes.
Yeah, I literally could play it like that. So, what about yourself?
So as far as what I've been doing, watching nothing, because I've been gone for a week, and I'll tell you that in a second. But so when I got home, I just was catching up on Barry, which is a show I watched on HBO, and The Boys, which I'm still catching up on Amazon. So as far as what I've been playing, though, I just finished the other day, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which is a beat-em-up game developed by Tribute Games and published by Dotemu, which is based on the Ninja Turtles games franchise. Now, this game is getting like excellent reviews when it came out. It's got a 9.10 on Steam. It's got an 8 out of 10 from IGN. 97% of the Google users like it. It's awesome. If you're into like the 1989 arcade game, or if you like the 1991 Turtles in Time game, you're instantly going to love this. But even if you're not, it's still like a breath of fresh life into a beat-em-up classic where it's not just a button masher anymore. Like when you play some of those old ones, it's a lot of just smashing A and B to try to fight everybody. But this game introduced now, it's got these dodge rolls that you can do. It's got these power attacks. It's got experience points in the game that unlock new moves as you play. It's got team help to where someone's low on health, you can go up and clap their hands and it'll give them some of your health. Or if they fall, instead of using a life, you can actually revive them if you got enough time to kind of help them out. Did
you play with anyone?
Yeah, so I actually played the story mode online so I played the first couple missions by myself because I was waiting for you, so I just kind of wanted to test it out, but I ended up jumping on with Daniel and Melissa, and we were playing it. So from mission 5 to the end, they ended up beating it with me. He was playing Michelangelo, she was playing April O'Neil, and I was playing Leonardo, but then I've got to point out, this game isn't just for anybody that knows how to play beat 'em ups, because when one of them would take a break or go get food, her kid Scarlett, who's 6, she jumped on, and dude, she was awesome at it. So like, I would highly recommend this if you've got kids that you want to play with, or maybe a spouse or someone that doesn't play as many games. It's a perfect game to jump in, because when you play because you can either play it couch, or you can play it online if you don't have anyone to play it with. You can do like a request. It's cross-platform, so if you are looking to play with somebody that's on PlayStation or the Switch, you can do that. But it's got these characters you got to find. It's got collectibles you got to find. It's got challenge modes that you can do, like, can you beat this level without getting hit, or things like that. So I'm saying, I was waiting for you to jump on so we could try to tackle this thing. My biggest concern was, how long was it? We brought it up on the other episode. I was going to
say, how long was that?
It's out of 16 levels. By myself, when I did the first 5, it was probably about maybe 30 minutes or so. But as more players jump in, they add up like you were saying, they actually make it a little bit harder. So it's kind of hard to tell, but we did it all in one sitting. So I wouldn't say it's over like 3 hours if you were to sit down and actually do it. The soundtrack, though, I got to say, is one of the best parts of this game. They redo the intro to the cartoon. Every level kind of has its own little jammer, and there's a couple of famous people on it that do some of the songs. But
Van Halen.
I wish it was a Van Halen, but I was curious of how you get Casey Jones. So if you guys were interested in playing Casey Jones, you've got to beat it once with anybody, and then Casey Jones unlocks, and then you can play Casey Jones. So I would highly recommend go check it out. It's not that expensive, but it is on the Game Pass. So as soon as you're ready, I want to start playing it with you. So and then as far as what I've been up to and why the episode's a little bit later is because I was gone to Mexico for a full week. So by the time I was getting back, I was just kind of drained from being out there. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun out there. And then Andrew at that time was getting his tattoo, so we figured, all right, let's just do it on Monday. So hopefully nobody was sitting around waiting for it to come out on Saturday, but this episode is out now. So
if you did, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. So with that down and out of the way, guys, let's move into our main story. And that is that Square Enix on June 16th just had its 15-minute presentation on Final Fantasy VII, the 25th anniversary celebration. Now, there was some good stuff in there that I really liked, some bad stuff that we'll kind of dive into. But without getting into the games right now, is it kind of weird that it wasn't even a Final Fantasy presentation? There was no 1, 2, 10, 15,
it's Final Fantasy 7.
It was just 7. So did that strike you as odd, or is that too much Final Fantasy 7? Because I don't want to get fatigued, but when Final Fantasy VII is my favorite, it's like the more the better. But I don't know.
I think it's a good game and it's a good world, so I thought that was fine because they said, specifically this is the 25th anniversary, so let's do something cool for it. The biggest problem I had with it overall, and I don't know if you had this because you watched it later, is there was no subtitles for anything. Yeah. IGN even shut down their stream. There was a lot of people were able to get some up in some languages, but not in others. I watched the whole thing and I couldn't understand a word that was saying, and I had to go back and rewatch it. But that wasn't even the weirder part. All the game clips, everything that's talking when they're showing the game and all that, when they're showing gameplay, all that stuff is in English. It's only when the guy's talking, there's no subtitles for everything. I'm like, how the fuck did you get everything else just fine except for the subtitles? I figured that would have been the easiest part to do.
Yeah, so I did the same thing, and I thought I was watching it wrong, because when I was watching it, I'm like, because D'Andrew was talking to me, I'm like, is it just me, or is I don't know what the fuck what is going on? I don't know what he's talking about. And then when I went back, because I'm like, okay, maybe my captions or something are off, and I tried messing with it, nothing. So then today, when I rewatched everything, I was able, it still wasn't doing it, but my captions was able to turn on, and then it was able to redo the whole thing. So that's why I had to rewatch the whole thing today, so I can, okay, that's what he was saying. I mean, not that it was anything drastic. I think watching it, you could tell kind of what was going on, but it is kind of frustrating when you're like, okay, well, you're showing some big things right now. What exactly does this mean? What exactly does that mean?
Right. So, it's like professionals that were trying to make it, even though it was short, and I liked what they showed, that it's just crazy that I would have had to go turn on my captions to get it to work versus the subtitles should have just been there.
Yeah, so let's jump into what it is. We'll kind of go game by game because it wasn't too much. So, and we'll talk as little or as much as we want about each one. So the first thing they did was they re-brought up Final Fantasy VII Remake with Intergrade, and they pointed out that it's now coming to Steam because last year I believe they had a full copy that came to the PS5 as well as what's the other one? Not Steam, but
I don't play enough PC, but I know what
Epic,
you're talking about.
the Epic Game Store. So now it came to Steam, and it says, so it's out now if you guys are watching this, and it's out on June 17th. But the biggest thing is, like, if that's what you're going to start with, because they're bragging about it, as well they should. It's like, now you can play it on the Steam Deck, and you can take it as go anywhere, but we're left scratching our heads going, but what about Microsoft? What about Xbox? Like, we're going into a couple years now, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it only supposed to be a year delay for Xbox? But we're going into 2. Now going into 3.
It did say originally there was a year delay, but I'll talk about that a little bit later because there's something else in here that we're going to talk about that I'm just like, that's more where I draw the bigger problem, and I can't bring it up now without mentioning anything.
So that's what they did. If you guys are interested in playing on Steam, they are bringing it fully over there for you guys.
That was the most disappointing part of the conference for me, though, because I was super hyped.
The way they just started off with that, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it doesn't bother me because I have a PS5. I've been playing them. It more, Andrew's been waiting to play Final Fantasy VII, and all I can tell him is how good it is. So the next thing they rolled into was they were kind of showing off some merchandise. They had the Buster Sword clock, which I thought looked really cool. They had
one was pretty cool.
Yeah, they had a couple of figurines that, like, 4 different dudes on it. I forget names right now, but one of the ones they showed at the end was a Cloud figure, which I already have a Cloud figure and a Sephiroth, which I love, but the one that they had, and I've never really seen before, is his Buster Sword, and the one there has a green materia.
Yeah.
Where every other action figure I usually see, it's like the blank one.
Empty slots.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. And they had I believe a Shinra ring was one of the things, and then a cool looking CD. I think all of it was supposed to be set to release on August 11th of 2022, so not bad if you were looking to get any of that stuff. So was there anything on there you were looking to get? The Buster Sword clock was the coolest thing to me.
That was the coolest thing, but I looked it up and I think it was like over $100, and I was like,
no.
I was like, I'm out.
That thing looked like the size of a keychain. So the next thing they showed off was, if you guys are a fan of the mobile games, they showed Final Fantasy VII First Soldier, which is now going into Season 3, which is called Highway Star. It was shown that it's got new maps, new weapons, new materia, and a new fighting style. And I gotta say, it actually looked pretty cool. I'm not a big mobile phone player. I don't think Andrew is either. But if I was playing, I would play that like on a big tablet. I thought that the first one they showed actually looked pretty cool.
That looked impressive for a mobile game. I would have to say that.
The other mobile game that they went right after that was Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Now, this one I wasn't quite sure what it was because they kept saying it's a chance for a new remake. And they were kind of showing Cloud stuff and then Zack stuff. But then they were showing like outfit swaps of Cloud from like the movie. I mean, what did you take from this? It looked like a new version of the PS1, but now on phone.
Yeah, like a retelling, and it's almost like a mixture because at some points they were showing like where it almost looks like the classic Final Fantasy VII with the top down, you're running around, but then it jumps into like Cloud being fully like how he is in the remake. So I almost took it as like maybe it's a mixture of both, and there's more stuff you can play around with it, like add costumes and that sort of thing.
Yeah, on Square Enix's side it says, last year we announced Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, a new episodic single-player mobile game that will allow players to experience the world of Final Fantasy VII and its connected stories, including the original Final Fantasy VII. So it's like, if you're going to play the original Final Fantasy VII, why are you going, including the first game? So I don't know, that one to me was a little more, I wasn't sure what was going on, but I'm never going to play it because we don't play mobile. So driving into the next one, which is the one that I was actually really interested in, was Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and this was the prequel to Final Fantasy VII that focuses on Zack Flair, a Buster Sword wielding soldier who has a hugely important role in this series. This new game is a full remaster of the PSP original and brings the game and its unforgettable story up to date for modern platforms. It will launch on every platform that's going to be available, and I thought that was a cool thing to do because not only is Final Fantasy VII one of my favorite games, but Zack was always kind of a mysterious character. He looked cool as hell when you got to see him,
right?
But you never really knew what was going on with him. You knew he kind of had a connection with Aerith. You knew he kind of has a connection with Cloud and his memories. But then they came out with this PSP game, which I heard awesome things, but I never had a PSP. So, I mean, when you saw it, what were your first thoughts?
I didn't get a chance to play that either, and I've always known about it. I'm like, oh, it sounds kind of cool. The more I looked at this, I was like, okay, cool. It seems like they're redoing the battle system so it doesn't feel like it was just on a PSP. Graphically, I don't know if you saw those like side-by-side comparisons, like of him fighting the behemoth. I was like, oh man, that looks way better. That looks really good. I think I was a little bit bummed about this though, because there was this guy whose Twitter handle that he just goes by the Snitch, who's been leaking everything from E3 and has been right about all kinds of shit. And he posted a picture of Zack holding Cloud when he's carrying him, and he just posted like a couple of different squares that was a color of Nintendo, the Xbox, the PlayStation, and then PC. Like, so it was like red, green, blue, and then gray. So I was like, fuck, hopefully that's Final Fantasy VII coming to Xbox. Like, it's about time. That's what everyone thought it was going to be. And then they showed this. I was like, that's cool. Now I'm torn in a way too. It's like, do I support this? And I'll get more into that later when we get to our other thing. Do I support this game now, knowing that Remake still hasn't come? Like, do I speak with my wallet? Because that's a double-edged sword. Like, fuck you. Like, why am I going to support you and buy this when you haven't supported me with the other game? Versus, by me not buying this or not getting it, am I showing that I'm not interested in this game?
Oh,
I feel like that one's double-sided. I'm going to get it and play it.
Yeah, because I wanted to point out that the PSP, the one that it's being remade from, is a game that came out in 2007. It sold over 2 million units, which for a PSP game in that time was a really strong amount of units that it sold, and it's got great reviews, and everybody always talks about this story. So I like that I'm finally able to play something instead of reading about something, about with Zack, that kind of bridges the gap, or at least kind of fills in some blanks of the storyline that I've always kind of been wanting to dive more into. So super excited about it. They said it comes out in winter of 2022, and that's going to be on every platform. So now moving into what really gets Andrew mad in the morning is they finally showed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now this is going to be part 2 in the episodic adventure of what we know to be Final Fantasy VII Remake. So what they were showing in the trailer, it's kind of a little bit odd, and I was kind of wondering where it was going, because if I'm remembering right, it's been a couple years, but when you beat Remake, there is a battle with Sephiroth, and in this trailer, they're showing, like, it's playing more back to the flashbacks of Cloud traveling with Sephiroth, of Zack saving Cloud. So, and was it Aerith? Was she the one talking, saying, did I die? Am I an imposter?
I thought that was Tifa and Cloud's conversation.
Oh, was it?
When Cloud, because in the original one, I think Cloud says something to her because he thinks that she's an imposter, or that she's fake because she wasn't there.
Right,
okay. But he's remembering everything wrong.
Okay, because I was thinking, I'm like, because I guess we'll just say it right here, is that they announced that it's going to be a trilogy. They finally said that,
thank God.
Yeah, don't worry about how many it is going to be anymore. It's going to be 3. It's going to be Remake, Rebirth, and then an unannounced
I hope it's called
title.
Revengeance or something stupid.
Yeah, and it would be, because the other thing I was kind of looking at is I wonder if FF7 Remake going to be, the traditional one of what we know from PS1, and then Rebirth is now going to take some liberties in changing what the storyline is going to be, because they already did that with the ending of this Final Fantasy VII Remake, because that's not exactly how it happened. So I wonder if Rebirth is now going to take maybe bigger liberties of changing plot lines, and maybe some people not dying, or friendships happening and not happening. I'm curious. Once we see more, it'll probably solidify that. But did you have any hint of that?
I think they're going to take more liberties with the world, because when I took it as a trilogy, the first game, it's a whole ass game that you play for, some people 50 hours, however long it took to beat it, 30. And that was just Midgar alone. So for them just to have 3 separate games and maybe mirror each other in terms of length or quality, they can't just crank this out, or, well, here's 100 hours and here's fucking Wu-Tai and all over the place, or whatever. So there's going to be a lot of places. That's more what I was interested in thinking about. Like, okay, not just the story, but I'm curious as to, like, are you going to go to the City of the Ancients here? Is that going to be something later on? Like, how are you going to... What fat is going to be trimmed off of this?
Well, I'm also curious, too, because what they did with Intergrade, which is still Final Fantasy VII Remake, is they added a Yuffie story. So I'm curious of whatever they chunk out from Part 2 and 3, Rebirth and whatever, could they go Rebirth and then go, and let's add, and there's going to be 3 more chapters. They're going to fill in some blanks. And then, you know what I mean? So, like, we don't even know if Intergrade's going to be the last one for Remake at this point. Right. So they could easily just kind of slide that stuff in. But at the end of the day, they said it's coming... in the winter for the PS5 exclusively. So where did you want to lead on that?
Well, first off, I'll say that I don't think this is coming in winter. I don't think that they're going to drop 2 Final Fantasies in 1 year. If they do, then I was definitely wrong on my last prediction, because I for sure said, I was like, there's no way they're dropping 2 in a year. So I don't think this is going to make that winter. But I don't know if the trailer you watched was separate than the one that I watched, because when I watched it, it just said PS5.
That's what I said. It was just a big PS5 and like no mention of anything. It didn't say like console exclusive. It didn't say timed exclusive.
That's what I was more getting into, because when they dropped the original for Final Fantasy VII Remake, it said exclusive on PS5 or PS4 for however long. So this just said to PS5, and that's it. So that means that there is some sort of deal going on between PlayStation and Square Enix for however long. Maybe it's going to be the full trilogy of games, because maybe somehow they've worded that into, okay, well, it's one game, even though it's one story with 3 separate games. So then maybe after all 3 come out, then Xbox will get it. I don't know. That's what kind of upsets me the most, is I wish that instead of them bullshitting around or using this weird verbiage, that they would just come out and say, hey, you're not going to get it until after all 3 come out, or there is some sort of deal, instead of, oh, well, we don't know, we haven't talked about it. Obviously, you fucking talked about it, because there's no way that, especially with the way the first one was handled, that if this thing was going to be exclusive for however long, Sony would be more than happy to fucking throw up every sort of date or whatever they can do, because they did that with the first one. They're doing that with 16. It says for a year date on there. That's what surprised me, is that there's no date on here. So I wonder if between now and then Final Fantasy VII Remake would come out for Xbox, and then this one might 2 would be day and date for both consoles, because again, if it was even a fucking month, Sony would be more than happy to put that on there.
Yeah, and it's weird because right before that they show Crisis Core, which
is coming to everything.
They're going, hey, take this on everything. But part 2 of a trilogy is only going to be on PS5, and we still don't even know when part 1 is going to be on Xbox, which, I mean, we know Sony has this kind of really close-knit deal with Square Enix, and it's just weird that of all the games, like, this is the one they're holding closest to the chest, because, like, Final Fantasy 16, I don't think they would go, we're going to hold this for 3 years as well. But Final Fantasy 7, man, they're keeping it on here, and I don't know how much more, I mean, I wonder if when Rebirth comes out, if that would spark any more sales, you know, for a remake if you never got it, or if that's going to cause anyone to go buy a PS5, you know, if you can find them at that point. So I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, it sucks if you don't have a PS5, but I'm sitting pretty right now. I'm playing it day one.
I just hate the conversations. People are like, oh, well, Xbox. I'm like, fuck what anyone says. This game could come out on any system. It could come out on a fucking calculator, and people are going to buy it. Final Fantasy VII is one of those games that's up there that, same, like, if you redid GoldenEye, which hopefully something like that is coming along, if you redid GoldenEye, that's an instant classic that you put that on any fucking system, it's going to sell gangbusters. And GoldenEye isn't even as beloved as Final Fantasy VII. You know, I can't think of another example of a game, but there's certain games that you redo them, you put it on anything, it's going to fucking sell.
Yeah, I do want to point out, though, because I was at GameStop recently, and if this coming up Friday is, if you're a pro member, they said that they're going to have a bunch of restocks in. So if you have been looking for a Series X or a PS5 and you have a GameStop near you and you're a pro member, which if you're not, they can enlist you when you're there. At least ours did, and she was kind of adamant about it. She's like, if you're looking for something, come back. I'm like, well, I already got them all, but I'll pass the news along. So if you guys are looking for it, now
$20 for a year.
Now is going to be your chance to go get one, because they should have at least a minimum amount of stock. So you guys should check that out if you're looking to still grab a PS5 or a Series X. So anything else on the Final Fantasy VII stuff? I mean, 15 minutes or so wasn't too big. I mean, I thought it had a lot of decent stuff if you're a huge FF7 fan. Crisis Core to me was what I'm looking forward to playing, but as a PS5 owner, I'm also going to get Rebirth. As someone, I mean, how did you like it just on its surface?
I thought it was good. I mean, short, sweet, to the point, but again, I was more disappointed by the lack of that Xbox announcement. But that's a personal preference. I can be, take that and put that aside and say that was a cool little thing just to watch for 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, not too shabby. So guys, leave your thoughts down below of what you thought about the Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary celebration. So moving into our second story, which is the Capcom Showcase, which just aired on June 13th. This one was quite a bit bigger. It ran for about 35 minutes, and I kind of we'll go one by one again if you would like to, and then we can kind of just skip over anything that was nothing that we really play. So to start it out, they did Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreak, which its big reveal. So this is going to be a massive expansion to the Switch and PC exclusive Monster Hunter Rise, and a new trailer at Capcom Showcase revealed more details, and that it will be getting a demo on June 14th, which is, at the time of reading this, it was said tomorrow, but June 14th. So it is out now if you guys are looking to play it. The trailer also shared some of the maps and monsters fans can expect, and they include returning monsters, Daimyo Hermitar, Espinas, Gore Magala, and the Pir Rachna Kadaki new form. The jungle map from Monster Hunter 2 will also be available, and it is being enhanced to match Rise's more open areas. And then maybe you can allude more on this, because I wasn't sure what a title update was. It said the first one's going to have Lucent Narakuga was announced to be joining Sunbreak in August as a free title update 1. So you've played Monster Hunter. This was it was a lot. If you're a big Monster Hunter fan, it showed a lot of stuff, and it's a game that looks really, really cool, and I'd like to play it. I never got into it, so I'm looking at all this stuff going, man, that if you like this, it looks like a ton of stuff.
Yeah, it's Kadachi and Nargacuga is what it's pronounced, but I only know how to say that because when you play the game, they say the name of the monsters all the time.
Guy and he's like Narakuga.
No, it's Nargacuga. But no, it looked good. I haven't played it on the Switch because that's a little too heavy for me to be playing on the Switch. I loved Monster Hunter World. I would definitely say if it's anything like Monster Hunter Iceborne, which was pretty much as long as the first game, that was almost like getting a second game. And you're just paying whatever the expansion price was, I would think that it's worth it. I do want to note in there, and I like this because not a lot of people do that, is that they have a big fucking banner on there that says you do need Monster Hunter Rise in order to play this expansion. So you can't just buy the expansion by accident or whatever and be like, oh, what the hell, why can't I play the game? No, you have to have the OG game. This is the same thing with Monster Hunter World. You had to have that to do Iceborne, but I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see Monster Hunter come into the forefront and be this big fucking game, because I think even World is one of their highest selling games, so that did well. Hopefully this does just as well. That I can't wait for whatever the next game would be to come to console, and then hopefully we can jump into that together and kind of go through it.
Yeah, because it looked like they got big plans for this. It looks like, because every time they were showing their charts, they're like, there's this coming, there's that coming, this is coming in winter, this is coming in in fall, this is coming in summer. So it seemed like they have big plans for this. So if it's a game for you, then that is awesome. But the next thing they showed off, which wasn't much, it was just kind of a reminder that Street Fighter 6 is coming. So they didn't really say anything. They're just like, hey, make sure you guys check this out. The next thing they showed off was the Capcom Fighting Collection and the arcade second
That was
stadium.
pretty cool.
Yeah, the Fighting Collection looked really cool. It had a bunch of it had Street Fighter on it. It had 5 titles of Darkstalkers. It was showing that you can actually do all of that stuff online as well. So if you are looking, it had 10 classic Capcom fighting games. So if you are looking for more fighting games, that was out there. And then the arcade second stadium had 32 arcade titles. I mean, nothing really jumped at me and caught my eye. But it did have a lot on there, though. So if you are looking for more of those arcade games, I mean, Capcom's just putting out the collections.
Yeah, because I think I had Darkstalkers and stuff like that on there. That I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, especially for people. I'm not too big into the fighting game scene. That I'm sure there's tons of games on there especially too, because I think those ones also are going to have online play as well. So that's cool for anyone out there who wanted something like that.
Yeah, it says everyone will also get Sun when getting the base game. So they're tossing you a freebie on that one. So the next one was the Exo Primal game that was coming out, and Exo Primal is Capcom's upcoming co-op dinosaur murder action game. Has received a new gameplay trailer and the promise of a closed network test before its launch in 2023. The trailer gave a tease of the PvPvE game story, gameplay, and some of the dinosaurs players will need to battle against. So it also showed off some of the modes that they're going to be having, which includes the Dinosaur Coal, the VTOL Defense, Data Key Security, Energy Taker, and Omega Charge. So coming in 2023 to all the good platforms, all the console platforms. And it was weird because when you're watching the trailer, it looked like a lot of nonsense. They had dinosaurs raining on planes and falling onto the bridges, and they were just running amok, and some of it looked like it was so much that you couldn't even move forward. So I'm like, well, what exactly is this game? But I liked how afterwards the guy that was kind of explaining it was saying that, that there's going to be these suits that you're going to be doing, and it's a group of 2 groups of 5 doing challenges against each other at the same time, doing objectives. So it was like, okay, well now I kind of get what's going on. So now you have a role in this group of 5 players that not only are you trying to get the objective done, but you're going online and playing against another team of 5 people at the same time. So that was interesting. And then it said at some point, some of the missions are going to be that those 2 groups, your rivals, are actually going to have to team up to do certain missions. So I don't know. It looks like there's something here. It looks like kind of over the top nonsense, but it looks fun enough that I would like to play it. But I don't know. I thought they did an odd job of kind of explaining what exactly this game is. So I don't know. Is it something you're looking forward to?
I think it looks cool. The idea just kind of sounds weird. Honestly, I feel like this is gonna be one of those games that just like bombs. It kind of has that feeling of it. It's just so over the top and like crazy.
It could have too much going on with it because on its premise, everyone wants like Turok games or what's the Dino Crisis games, and like because there was another game on Game Pass called Second Extinction that had a lot of dinosaur stuff on it. It was a game preview. We played it, got bored of it after a while. I'm hoping this game looks like it wouldn't get as boring as fast. I kept saying every time you play it, it'll be different, even if you think you know the map. So I like that they're putting enough into it that's gonna keep it new and fresh, but. I'm looking at it. Yeah, it looks like it's playable, but I don't know if I'm dying to play it.
I tried signing up for that beta, but I think it's for Steam only.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, and it also said that the main thing that's throwing you in everything is Leviathan, which is that big just head. So even the like antagonist was just kind of an awkward presence that I was like, okay, that's the main guy.
Think of like Star Fox, like Andross, when it's just like the fucking floating head you're shooting at.
I like all of that. So the next thing they showed was a quick thing on Dragon's Dogma saying to tune in because they're going to be doing a 10-year anniversary thing. So that since then, the big thing actually came out. It was it came out on June 16th. It was a 12-minute video on the history of Dragon's Dogma and where the creators came from, how they came from Devil May Cry and doing action RPGs. And it was a really cool story if you're interested in Dragon's Dogma. And at the very end, they confirmed that Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out, which I know when I was reading the comments, there was no bad comment. Everyone was just like, yes, finally, thank you.
It seemed like more people were excited for that than actually the Final Fantasy Rebirth. I was like, damn, I've never played Dragon's Dogma, so I was like, oh, it's definitely something I'm sleeping on. I'll definitely have to check it out and see what's up.
I actually recently, I know me and Geno bought it a long time ago, or one of us did. I have it, and I've been meaning to start it, so maybe now that I know 2 is here, I'll start number 1. So, and then next we get into kind of all the stuff that Andrew likes is that the Resident Evil 8 updates are coming with the big DLC, and there's 3 main features. We'll kind of go one by one if you want to tackle them. The first one is they're introducing the third-person mode, so you finally get to actually see Ethan's back, which I know for a lot of people, even though 7 and 8 revitalized Resident Evil for a lot of people, some people don't like the first-person mode. Right. Some of them like the over-the-shoulder. So how do you like that? Now this is, and then we'll go to the next one. But starting with this one, how do you like that you can actually finally see it? I didn't really care for his outfit, unless I'm sure you can do costume changes. But is that something that's going to make you play it again? Because they said they're going to add in all the new animations and things like that.
I'm not going to play it again, but I mean, it's there for anyone who likes it. And if anything, too, it's a free update. So that's very cool of them. They didn't have to do that by any fucking means necessary. And for them to just be like, hey, you know what? We've heard some people say something. We're just going to put this out there for you. That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. And yeah, because if you haven't played it at this point, and you get it, because I think it comes on the new Gold Edition. Right. It'll have all this, or I think you can get it separately.
It's a free update.
It's a cool way to play it. But the next one that they were showing is Mercenaries Additional Orders, which is more of the arcade action kind of add-on that they had, which now they're showing that you can play Chris Redfield, Heisenberg, and Lady Dimitrescu.
Yes.
Okay, so I never played Mercenaries, but I think I remember, didn't you play it quite a bit? And is it cool that now there's characters to play? Does it make a difference?
I like it. I don't know if that would bring me back to it. I know there's a lot of people who like love doing that, though, that it would definitely be cool, especially to play as like some of those bigger villains that have like special powers and stuff to go through, especially Lady Dimitrescu, because she's like fucking like 8 foot something, 9 foot something. Yeah. So I might jump in just to kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah, I was looking at it and I thought that actually looked pretty cool because there was, I mean, I've never played that one, but I was like, that looks like a cool kind of mode. And is it something they're going to be adding more characters to? Because in the original, before they added these guys, were you just playing was it just one person?
Yeah, it was just scenarios, unless they added anything and I hadn't seen it. It's just, you're just playing as Ethan in like different scenarios.
Gotcha. And then the one that I know definitely I want to play is they showed the Shadows of Rose. Where
Surprised they showed this.
Where she's coming in, so she's Ethan's daughter, all grown up. She's entering the Mega Mycete. She gets in there. She finds this person that kind of looks like her. She's in this warp consciousness. She's got someone named Michael that's guiding her, maybe showing her how to lose her powers or get rid of her powers. I was curious, is it just an ad? I want to know how long this is going to be. It can't be a standalone game, I don't think.
I don't know. They could do something maybe like 5-10 hours, or they could make it like 1 hour. Again, I didn't even think that that's where they were going to go with DLC. I thought that would be like the next game or something.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did.
So I was super surprised that they even showed this. Again, that was... I thought it looked cool. I'm definitely interested to go in there and try it, especially in a way that it makes sense, because I didn't want to play a normal game and have all these fucking... Obviously, Resident Evil's jumped the shark a long time ago, but I didn't want to be playing as a person using all these fucking powers. I'm like, this is dumb. But the fact that she's in this weird, like, kind of cerebral thing, I'm like, okay, well, now that makes sense, and it's not really affecting the real world, that I could deal with that within the confines of the story.
Yeah, and a big continuation. It's a big leap. We got to assume that unless she aged any quicker than a normal person would be.
They get said on there, because they did like a thing afterwards. It's like 5-10 years after the first game.
I thought it was longer, because they were saying like she's like an adult now. So I was under the assumption she'd be like 20, which would make characters like Chris 60.
Oh yeah,
right.
Maybe she does age faster. I forgot that she was a baby in the first one.
Yeah, so I'm curious if like who's still gonna make an appearance in this game, if any. Like is Chris gonna make? Because she does mention Chris, but we don't know if he is a handler of hers, if he's the old guy in the chair that she's afraid of. We don't know what their relationship is at this point, because she's like, there's abilities that even Chris doesn't know I have, and I'm like, okay, well, how old's Chris now? Because Chris in the end of 8 is like prime.
Yeah, I just know that they brought back my boy Fat Duke. Except for he's all weird.
Yeah, he had that mask. It looked like he was almost the bad guy.
Yeah, it's some weird ass shit. I don't know, but either way, I'll definitely be playing this.
Nice. So the final thing they were kind of showing off was that they are bringing in Reverse, which was a mode that was actually supposed to be a part of the original Resident Evil 8 Village. They showed off a little more of Resident Evil 4, and then the upgrades for Resident Evil Remake 2, 3, and 7. Is there any of those you want to dive into more or less?
With Resident Evil 4, they didn't show too much, but you do get a full reveal of Leon this time, because you didn't get that when they showed it in the PlayStation event the week before. But I do think it's cool that they put in the work as free title updates to 2, 3, and 7 to make them 4K 60 frames per second. Again, that's just something they didn't have to do, and Capcom doing their work,
getting good faith with the audience. Now, I wasn't sure what Reverse was, and if you guys weren't either, I just want to kind of say what this add-on was or was supposed to be. So, Resident Evil Reverse will see you testing your skills against other players in a 4 to 6 person horror revenge match, where you will get to play as some of the most memorable characters from the Resident Evil series. Wield powerful bioweapons and make use of items in 5-minute death matches, and try to score the most points to come out on top. Now, that's not what me and you played before, right? That was something completely different. Okay, so this is, because when I looked at the trailer,
competing against other people.
Yeah, it looked like people were playing as Leon and other characters in this, right?
And I think after you get like a certain amount of points or something, then like you can transform your person to like the fucking Nemesis to get the advantage over everyone else. I have this. I downloaded it because, again, it was supposed to be a day-and-date game, and then they told me to fuck off for over a year.
Yeah, because the biggest thing they said is, if you were looking to play Reverse in some sort of co-op experience, that's not going to happen. It looks like this is all 1v1
online.
Yeah, so
I think with this, they should have just made this like a free fucking game, a free-to-play game for everyone to play. The same thing with, I forgot what the last thing was called, but the one that we did, where you have one person that's essentially the dungeon master and everyone else is trying to escape. I think it would have had a bigger breadth of audience if you just made that free-to-play. More people would have played that.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, the Capcom show was long, but it tackled every game, and nothing really new or crazy. But it just added on more. If you know what games you like to play, and Capcom's in this, all they were doing was adding more gravy on the mashed potatoes, baby. It's like they weren't showing any new games, but like, dude, if you like Resident Evil, here's all of this. If you like Monster Hunter, here's all of this. So I gotta say, Capcom is just doing good faith by the player.
I think that was most important. It wasn't like a 10 out of 10 event for like mind blowing things, but it was definitely a goodwill, good faith, good gesture sort of event that I can't be mad at the stuff they showed.
Yeah, so I had no problems with that. Capcom did a really good job. Is there anything else on any of the stuff you want to talk about?
Nah.
All right, guys, so leave your thoughts down below of what you thought of the Capcom Showcase. And so we're going to move into riffing it up, where Andrew and I take a quick second to just kind of point out a few smaller stories and put them on your radar in case you guys haven't heard about that. So, Andrew, what do you got up your sleeve, my man? Up your no sleeves, my man.
Mine is that there is some leaked footage out there from a Twitter user called Rebs Gaming on the Halo Infinite Forge mode. Now, normally that wouldn't really be anything kind of exciting, but what he was showing off was pretty cool, and it's that not only can you customize the map and customize what you're doing, classic Forge stuff, but you can take the weapons and customize what each weapon does and give them different effects. So there's like a BR that when the bullets hit, it's almost got the effect of the rocket launcher. There was a hammer that acts like the sword. Someone else had a cinder shot on there that was firing out rockets like a rocket launcher. So I was like, damn, that's really cool. On top of the weather effects and everything else that they're doing, someone made like a gravity gun with it. So just seeing all these different things, not that I'm someone who gets in there and messes with Forge, but I do like some of the modes that are birthed from Forge because they're a lot of fun. So I think this really opens the doors for what sort of things can be done. I mean, out of my last not Halo Infinite, Halo 5 before that, one of my favorite things that someone made in Forge that I loved playing, there was actually two of them. There's one called, I think it's called Maze Runner, and there's a bunch of mazes and the doors are coming up and down, and there's someone in a big fucking mantis going around killing people. And as you kill more people, then they get mantises, and so you're just trying to be the last person to survive. The other one that I think was the most fun, and we were playing it all the time, is it starts off in a big square, and everybody's on a mongoose, and you're trying to ram each other, and if you flip them over, they die. But then the map gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and so it's a little battle royale where you're trying to demolition derby everybody off the edge and stuff. And I have a couple clips of them, too, from before, just because it was so fun, so funny. Like, this dude rammed me off the edge, but he fell, and my one tire got stuck, so I ended up winning it for the team, so I was hanging on to the side. So it's just fun game modes like that, or even that's how Fiesta was born. So I can't wait to see what comes out of this.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that how much people off this leaked footage were still super hyped for it, because this was supposed to come out day and date when the game dropped, and it got pushed, and it was one of the biggest things people were mad about. But I gotta say, from what we've seen, I'm glad they took the time to do it, and at this point, I think it's supposed to come out with Season 3, so we still got...
like September.
Yeah, we still got a little bit of more time, but, I mean, I liked it that this footage leaked, and at least people are all going, oh, that looks fucking dope. So,
like, at least it seems like it was worth it for the wait.
Yeah, definitely. So, anything else on that?
Nah, you?
So, my riff, guys, is that there is this YouTuber who's built the world's first PS5 Slim console, and it's a 30-minute video. I'll try to leave the link in the description.
Worth the watch.
Yeah, but it should be playing right now if you're watching the YouTube version. And it's saying one of the ways it managed to shrink the PS5 down was by replacing the cooling heatsink with a custom copper water block and water channeling system. It also followed in the footsteps of a number of previous Slim consoles by offloading power to an external power brick. So the video, I think, is close to 30 minutes. It's saying at the end, it's unclear how much the entire project cost, but the copper sheets used to construct the console came in at $240. Now, I'm not saying you should try to do it at home with yours, but I mean, you got to be real kind of technical with these things, and they will guide you. But I was looking at it going, damn, dude, like, it blows my mind that these guys can come up with this kind of stuff at home, and yet Sony, I mean, unless they're trying to really start with that brick and then go down, it's like, because when you look at that thing, it is thin, and I think he had a hiccup the first time they played it. I think there was an issue, but then after they worked up the kinks,
he knocked over the big fucking supply or whatever.
Yeah. And then afterwards, they let it run for hours, and it was running perfectly. And with the way they've customized it, it actually runs better and it cools down faster than the current PS5. So I'm like, how does this one guy or maybe 5 guys come up with this? And yet your guys' whole development, team comes up with that.
Well, it's because I would say it's because they don't want it to look like this. This thing looks like something fucking Iron Man rigged up in a.
But then you
Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
But you could box that into a little cool package, though. I mean, with how small that is, you could put that into something cool looking that's not that.
Besides the big arc reactor and the thing, I like the cool gold copper way that looks. I was like, oh, that looks pretty dope.
It looked like a PS Slim kind of. Remember the old PS Slims that they did, the PS2 Slim, I think it was.
Definitely watch the video. Oh yeah, he has one of those in there. Yeah. It's like an example, whatever. Definitely watch the video, even if you just skip to the end to kind of see the actual product itself, because it was very interesting to see. I thought it was super dope.
Yeah, so definitely worth checking out, because I mean the technology's there and they can do it better and faster than the current one. So that is the end of our risk, guys. We're gonna jump into our questions of the week. Now, if you guys want to submit a question, feel free to leave it in the comment section at the bottom of the YouTube video. You can email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com, or you can at me at Craig Perales at any of my social medias. So this question I wanted to make sure we answered, because we didn't talk about the Xbox Bethesda showcase, because we weren't in town. We were just leaving. We didn't really have time to do it. And at the end of it, there wasn't really too much to say on it. So this question will kind of at least put our 2 cents on it. And this question comes from Stacy Nellen, who writes, now that the Xbox Bethesda showcase has come, what are your thoughts for Xbox moving forward? Does Starfield look any better or worse? So, so if you watch this thing, I mean, it's long. It was 90 minutes, if maybe not more. And Xbox, I mean, they do one kind of cool little scene where it shows what's coming out for Xbox for the next year. And when you look at it and you see everything on there, you're like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's nothing that I was wanting, because the main things that I was looking forward to was, they didn't show any Fable. They didn't show any Hellblade. They didn't show any Perfect Dark. And if you're going to tell me these are all the games for the next year, then these games are now another year after that. So it's the future of Xbox. They're still going to be buying, Game Pass, third-party games. They're going to come to Game Pass and be strong. So no worries there. As far as their first-party stuff, it looked like everything they showed on Xbox Bethesda Showcase was just add-ons. It was a lot of, here's this for Need for Speed, or not Need for Speed, Forza, Sea of Thieves, Fallout 76. So, I mean, there was a couple good ones. I know, did you want to write out a couple of yours? I know the High on Life game, which was done by the creators of Rick and Morty. That game looked pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. The Last Case of Benedict Fox, I thought looked pretty cool.
I like that one. I liked, Hollow Knight Silk Song, that's coming.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of Hollow Knight fans, and that looked awesome.
I think what was more interesting out of this than any of the other things that they showed was the fact that Persona was coming to Xbox. I think it's 3, 4, and 5, as well as they also did a short little something. When I want people to talk, is just a short thing saying, I'm Hideo Kojima, and I'm working on something, because his name is hype all over the place. He's one of the most desired creators right now, that he's doing something with Xbox. But I think the biggest problem with this, too, again, okay, you're showing me what's coming for the next year, which is cool, because I hate seeing, this game won't be out till 2028, but we're going to show you some stuff now. But I've already seen all of this stuff. And then what you did show me doesn't sound any better. To lead into that next question, Starfield, they didn't show anything exciting about it. There wasn't anything to be excited about. I thought Outer Worlds had a better showing than this, and then they made it worse afterwards, because then when they're talking about it, they're like, there's over 1,000 planets that you can go visit. I'm like, why the fuck would I want that? I don't want that. That's not what I want. That's not why people play
Fallout or Skyrim
or anything like that, is to visit a million places and me spend 1 million hours on all these places. I'm like, that does not sound interesting to me at all.
Yeah, I thought Starfield did a weird kind of showing off. Because what it would do is it would go, oh, let's look at them walking, and then they shut off the wrong stuff, I think. The opening scene is a character just walking extremely slowly, not doing anything, and you're like, okay, and then they'd stop it, cut it, go to whoever else was going to talk next and go, oh, now let's talk about the customization, and it would go into a new scene. And I don't know why they just didn't have that all one segment and have a voiceover. It was too stop and go. But as far as how does Starfield look, I'm with Andrew. I don't think it looked exciting. It didn't turn me off anymore. I mean, I'm still going to play it. I'm still excited. But the point of the Bethesda Xbox Showcase should have been to raise my hype level, and It didn't do anything. I saw someone walk around slow. I saw combat that looked okay. I mean, it looked kind of like almost like Mass Effect Andromeda combat. And then the space exploration, I mean, it was a lot of Mass Effect ripoff to me. Like, oh, you can hover over this planet and look for a resource. I'm like, okay. And it seemed like what they were trying to show off was the customization you can do with your character. And when it started going into like the skill boxes and the RPG aspect of it, I was like, oh, cool, let's do that. And then it would cut it off and it would go back to something else of them traveling. So I don't know. I think it could have been a lot better, and maybe they just didn't have anything else to show because it looked kind of stale. I mean, everything they showed in the quick montage of all the monsters, I'm like, that's what I want to see. Show me him fighting that, not these pirates on a thing jumping around and just shooting like a little gun
on this boring, bland, gray-looking planet that could have just been a moon, anything like that. So, I mean, like I said, I think we're both kind of in consensus as far as like not giving anything a grade, but good, bad, okay. I didn't think this was a good conference. I thought it was a bad conference. I was super bored with it, especially too that so many people talking over shit that didn't need to be talked about, showing a lot of things that could have been a trailer that just dropped afterwards, like DLC, fucking the Lego Forza. I'm like, come on, man. Like,
the Hot Wheel.
The Hot Wheel, not Lego, the Hot Wheel Forza. I'm like, you're gonna show off 2 Forza games in here and both. It's just gonna be fucking Hot Wheels.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of glad we didn't do a video about it, and we can kind of catch up on it quick. It did have some good games, but as far as what they should have been showing off with the blockbusters and the power of what they're moving forward to, and they don't have that. Starfield is still going to sell and it's still going to play, and I'm definitely going to play it, but it didn't hype me up. I mean, I guess I'm a little more hyped on Redfall when they showed that in the beginning, and we got like a good 2 minutes or so of that gameplay, but this could bust just like Back 4 Blood did. I mean, it looks cool, and I want to co-op and do my 4 players, but I don't see Redfall being the game that's going to keep everyone invested or go get an Xbox. So
I'm so lukewarm on it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Xbox just needs... I mean, they've got the games, they got the names and the developers, but now we need the games. And I thought this coming up year was going to be it. And after seeing what's coming up for the full year, we're still missing a lot of big titles that we've been looking forward to for over 5 years now. So
again, for 2 years in a row too, where Sony's like not doing anything, and here's Xbox's chance to really capitalize and show why you need an Xbox. They didn't. So thank you for the question, guys. Again, feel free to submit yours. But that is the end of episode 137. Join us next time on episode 138. So until next time, guys, my name is Craig Perales. This handsome bloke is Manager Montemare. Cheers. See ya.
Teenage Mutant